Number 10, Earth 99. This Batman hails from the Arrowverse and is found by Kara aka Supergirl and Kate Kane aka Batwoman in his reality of Earth 99. The Arrowverse Earth 99 anyways. He began killing off villains at one point after finally having enough, keeping trophies of them after they each had been finally defeated. This put the Bruce Wayne of this world at odds with Superman. The two fought, and while Batman managed to win, he was forced to rely on an exosuit after in order to move and get around. When Kate and Kara attempted to recruit him to face the Anti-Monitor during the Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover event, he basically refused, telling them that the multiverse is basically not worth saving. He attempts to kill Kara after learning she is also a Kryptonian like Clark was, and is accidentally killed by Kate after his exosuit is broken during the scuffle, electrocuting him to death, because I'm pretty sure his exosuit was like right into his spine. I guess it's like an exoskeleton, if you will. Still, even though he died, this Batman successfully killed all of his enemies and managed to take out Supes too, so I feel like he still gets to qualify. Number 9. Dark Knight Returns. The Dark Knight Returns version of Batman as written by Frank Miller is pretty frightening and is also a little bit older. But just cause he's an older Batman forced to come out of retirement doesn't mean he can't hold his own against the likes of even someone as souped up when it comes to superpowers as Superman. While this Batman might not have any superpowers of his own to tackle his old pal Clark Kent, he proves that he doesn't really need them at all, and that one of the best and most capable versions of Batman out there can still even face godlike beings like Kal-El with just his wits, his determination, and his gadgets and equipment. And friends, before we move on to the next spot, if you are loving this list and you want more lists like it, head on over to Facebook to support us over there too, because the support over there helps to support us here and it helps us to just do all the things. Confetti. Number 8. The Bruce. The Bruce is a character that hails from the Elseworlds story Batman I Joker. Well, okay, it isn't like an Elseworlds comic, but it exists outside the continuity of any other main DC universes, so I'm just gonna refer to it as an Elseworlds. The Bruce is actually just a man who has had his appearance altered to resemble Batman. He rules over Gotham, and later his power is transferred to a citizen who is made to resemble the Joker and face the Bruce in a ritualistic annual event known as The Hunt. The Bruce is just a man in this universe and is defeated and replaced, but the power comes from the symbol that he represents. In this dystopian future, the people of Gotham worship whoever holds the title of the Bruce, like a god. There is even a church of Batman dedicated to his glory and his worship. While this isn't necessarily one of the hardest hitting alternatives out there, symbols are very powerful and can't be defeated as easily as a person, as we see in I Joker. Even when the person who represents the Bruce is defeated, he is simply replaced by the civilian that defeated him, who goes from playing the role of the Joker to being declared Gotham's new The Bruce, and worshipped as such.
Number 7. Red Robin from Kingdom Come. In the Kingdom Come story, Superman and the other Justice League members are forced out of retirement to combat a new, dangerous generation of heroes. This future version of Richard Grayson actually became the first ever Red Robin in his middle age, but not as a sidekick to Batman. Instead, he was part of Superman's Justice League. He played a similar role to Batman as part of this league, being like a stealthy hand-to-hand combatant. This version of Grayson also has a daughter with Starfire from the Teen Titans named Mari Grayson, who goes by the hero name Nightstar. Kingdom Come is considered one of the best graphic novels of all time, and I'm glad Richard is a part of it, especially since it brought us the awesome Red Robin costume. Number 6. Cute Batman. I'm sorry I call them cute Batman, but honestly, look at him, he's kind of adorable. On Earth 42, all the superheroes appear to be these little kid-like versions of their normal counterparts. Here, Dick Grayson has gone on to take up the Batman mantle after this world's Bruce Wayne was killed by a villain from an alternate reality called Super Doom. Now, Dick acquired the Multiversity Guidebook, which detailed DC's current 52 universes, and using it, he teamed up with various Batman and helped to bring the heroes of the multiverse together. All the little heroes of this world eventually discovered they were actually androids under the control of the Empty Hand in order to spy on the House of Heroes. Still adorable though. Just saying. Number 5. Robin on regular Earth 2. Now, this Earth 2 is the one where all the Golden Age heroes of DC Comics are situated. In the Golden Age timeline, his history is the same as the original because technically, he is the original. right? Where things change is what would have been when he reached adulthood. In the diverging timeline of Earth 2, Dick Grayson actually remains the only Robin for his whole career. He grows up keeping the title and actually goes to school to become a lawyer. He takes up the Batman mantle once and comes into conflict with the Joker, but that makes him retire from the Batman name, and he continues on performing as the senior partner of the new dynamic duo, which consisted of himself as Robin and Bruce Wayne's daughter Helena as Huntress. And the two took part in the Battle of the Crisis on Infinite Earths, where they unfortunately passed away. Number 4. Nightwing from the New Order. In the year 2028, all-out war between heroes and villains had broke out in the streets of Metropolis. There was countless deaths and destruction caused by the conflict for days, but after Batman passed away in the conflict, Nightwing activated a device in the war-torn streets of Metropolis that shut off or dampened the superpowers of most of the world, believing it was the best cause of action to save humanity from the dangers of superpowered population. Now after this, Dick began a relationship with Starfire from the Teen Titans, and together they had a son named Jake. As time went on, Starfire progressively fell out of love with Dick and resented his cause. One day, after Dick had chosen to lead the new Crusaders division to hunt metahumans, Starfire left Dick without saying a word, forcing him to raise their son alone in Wayne Manor. It turns out Jake is actually a metahuman with superpowers, and Nightwing now has to go against everything he previously stood for to save his son from the world that he actually created.
Number 3. OWLMAN. OWLMAN is an alternate version of Batman who is, well, pretty evil, but not a direct alternate. Instead of being Bruce Wayne, he is Thomas Wayne Jr., the older brother to Bruce in his reality. He hails from Earth 3, the same universe that belongs to the Crime Syndicate, which of course he's also a part of. The Crime Syndicate is basically like an alternate evil version of the Justice League, and of course OWLMAN is like their version of Batman. Thomas actually killed his Earth's Bruce Wayne after his younger brother was reluctant to join him and kind of taken out their parents, Thomas and Martha. Thomas Jr. believed that this was necessary as their parents were, in his opinion, squandering the family fortune. Thomas would take up the mantle of OWLMAN instead of Batman, and like his Prime Earth counterpart, is an extremely skilled individual and highly experienced fighter. Thomas also happens to be a genius as well, which often gives him an edge against his opponents. Number 2. Batman Who Laughs. As much as I want to give someone like Batman Who Laughs my top spot on this list, he's kinda dead right now. At least he was seemingly dead and defeated after the events of Death Metal. Still, Batman Who Laughs made for a powerful enemy and a powerful alternate. He is basically the combination of Joker and Batman in one entity. Hailing from the also now seemingly gone dark multiverse, Batman Who Laughs was once just Batman, aka Bruce Wayne, in his reality of Earth -22. All the negative Earths are the dark multiverse Earths. After Joker learns that he is sick and will soon die, he decides to push Batman as far as he possibly can, which prompts Batman to, of course, snap. Literally. He snaps Joker's neck. In Joker's spine, however, is a little bit of Joker venom, which ekes out with his final breath, or his final exhale if you would prefer. And this Joker venom is then inhaled by Batman, who is basically corrupted by it, and then we get Batman Who Laughs. Number 1. Batmite. Weirdly enough, despite being completely ridiculous, Batmite actually might be one of the most powerful alternate versions of Batman of all time. This mischievous imp from the 5th dimension is to Batman what Mr. Mxyzptlk is to Superman. The imp actually looks up to Batman, idolizing him, which is why he dresses like him and adopts a similar name to the hero. However, Batmite, as Batman's number 1 fan, can also be super annoying, often acting as a foil or outright enemy to the hero, as he often likes to manipulate the fabric of reality to create scenarios where he can kind of watch Batman do his thing. This means that he usually gets in the way of Batman's everyday heroics, so he causes a lot of problems for the hero, which of course tends to drive Bruce crazy. It's also been implied before that Batmite isn't real, but only exists as a hallucination for Batman, representing his rational mind. I think that was actually a Grant Morrison story, so that is a possibility. But for the most part, he is depicted as an actual tangible character that just really loves Batman and is way too powerful.
We're moving on to number 10 with TALON from Earth 3. Now, unless you guys don't know, Earth 3 is the home to an evil Justice League known as the Crime Syndicate of America. On this world, Batman is actually OWLMAN, and he is also Thomas Wayne Jr., not Bruce Wayne. Now, he takes on Dick Grayson just like his regular Earth counterpart, only this Richard Grayson takes on the much more sinister name of Talon. But Talon began a relationship with Duella Dent, who happened to be the daughter of the heroic Jokester on Earth 3. Yes, that is a good guy version of the Joker. He and Duella came to New Earth and joined the Teen Titans during the year after the Infinite Crisis, and together they actually stood against Black Adam during World War III. Number 9. The third Batman on New 52 Earth 2. The Earth 2 introduced in the New 52 is different from the original Earth 2 where the Golden Age characters reside. Instead, this Earth 2 sees Superman, Wonder Woman, and Batman pass away in the first invasion of Earth by Steppenwolf and the forces of Apocalypse, who took over the world. Dick in this reality was married to Barbara Gordon, and they even shared a child together before she also passed away. Dick Grayson ended up training with Ted Grant and became this future's third Batman after Thomas Wayne took the mantle alongside his son, who acted as his Robin. He was a much more aggressive and darker version of Dick Grayson, which really worked well when he became the Dark Knight. Hey y'all! If you enjoying this video so far, be sure to whack that like button. It's all you gotta do to let us know we are doing a good job. Thanks so much, nerds. On to number 8, Injustice. Dick Grayson in the Injustice universe was a superhero and sidekick to Batman, just like the original. But Grayson still acted as Batman's original Robin, still led the Titans, and still struck out on his own as Nightwing. He was succeeded by Jason Todd, Tim Drake, and eventually Damian Wayne as Robin, but he formed a bond with Damian, and he is even seen as Damian's mentor. However, after Damian sides with Superman in Injustice, he accidentally causes the death of Nightwing when he throws his weapon at his head, causing Nightwing to stumble, fall, and land on a rock that breaks his neck. It's honestly quite the shocking turn of events. Now eventually Dick became the successor to Boston Brand as the second Deadman, giving him the ability to fight again from beyond the grave with the powers of flight, intangibility, invisibility, and possession.
At number 7 we have Bart Allen, aka Kid Flash, FKA Impulse. Hailing from New Earth, this teenage speedster is credited with being able to go faster than the speed of light, and those who understand the laws of physics would know how much of a game changer this is for Bart. It effectively gives him the power to transcend the laws of relativity. His abilities are so impressive, partly due to the fact that Bart originally exists in the 30th century before coming back to the present, and being as young as he is, he hasn't yet shown the full potential of his impressive speed. But once he matures into adulthood, we may end up witnessing the most powerful speedster that the world has ever seen. The only thing that sets him back on this list was his struggle with an illness that caused him to age pretty rapidly. He is able to get it under control, but he ages about 10 years in the time it'd take anyone else to age 2. So we hope this doesn't hinder him any further, because he's one of the most powerful Flashes out there and has tons of potential. At number 6 we have Reverse Flash. First appearing in the Flash 139 as far back as 1963, Eobard Thawne is an evil opposite to the Flash that gets his powers from the negative speed force. But don't let the name confuse you, the negative speed force doesn't negate anything. This inverted variant of the Flash can reach insane speeds and can even move through objects and walls, cause whirlwinds using his body, and most impressively of all, he can travel between dimensions at will. Not only this, but he has electrokinesis, which allows him to charge up electrical energy from his movement and fire blasts of negative speed force lightning at his victims. He can even use this power to steal years of life from his targets and age them to death. And if someone gets the better of him, Reverse Flash even has a healing factor that allows him to mend wounds and even regrow limbs. At number 5 is SAVITAR from the Arrowverse. In the DCEU, SAVITAR is a futuristic version of Barry Allen who is jaded by a failure that turns his family and friends against him. So what does one do when they're cast out of society? Right, they decide to become a god. But joking aside, he does get his speeds to a point where he easily surpasses the abilities of his prime self and even starts to notice his body ripping apart due to such high speeds. This is why we see him in this insane armor. He designs this armor to keep himself safe at his unimaginable speeds. He then goes back in time and across dimensions to spread awareness of his godlike status before going back to modern day Prime Earth and facing himself as this newly improved yet fully evil variant. At number 4 is Black Flash. Black Flash is a manifestation of death that is fast enough to chase down any speedster and take them out for good. He can move faster than the speed of light and is immortal, putting him very high on the list. It's unclear why Black Flash is always trying to kill speedsters like Barry Allen and Wally West, but it's suggested that these speedsters are so fast that they can outrun time and therefore death. Unless, of course, death were to somehow, send a conduit after them that also uses the Speed Force, which is what the Black Flash essentially is. This variant first appears in the Flash Volume 2, issue 138 in 1998, and has been spotted in moments right before the deaths of Barry Allen and Johnny Quick. He has also chased after Wally West, but Wally was able to defeat this variant by running all the way to the end of time, destroying Black Flash, because when there's no time, death has no meaning. But to think that these are the lengths Wally has to go to get rid of Black Flash just shows how insanely powerful this variant is.
Number 3. Superman. Some of you may not know, but the original Nightwing was actually a hero of Krypton. It's where the name originated, and Superman telling this story to a young Dick Grayson is what inspired him to take on the name Nightwing. But did you know Superman himself took the name? And even before Dick Grayson did it. Yes, Superman Kal-El has been Nightwing twice, in fact. In pre-Crisis, he was the first ever to be called Nightwing in 1963. Now, at this time he actually had no powers and he took on the name, while Jimmy Olsen took on the counterpart to this, the first Flamebird. The second time, Superman donned the Nightwing identity on a reformed Krypton in the post-Crisis world alongside Lois Lane as Flamebird. These two heroes were both Kryptonian legends, and Superman wasn't the only Krypton native to take on the role over the years either. Number 2. Joker. On Earth 31, this version of Dick Grayson never actually became Nightwing. In fact, working under the much more strict, mean, and militaristic Bruce Wayne, Dick was even fired from being Robin for incompetence, presumably caused by not getting past the death of his parents. Years later, and this version of Grayson goes a little insane. He goes through an experimental procedure that makes him essentially immortal through cellular regeneration powers, with the side effect of him being driven absolutely bonkers. With his abilities, he couldn't be killed by almost anything. He was attacked with acid, thermite, and C4, and even had his head taken off with no success. He became the second Joker after the original one and took out several retired superheroes, including the Creeper and the Guardian. After attempting to do the same to Catgirl, Batman finally took him down by throwing him into lava and extinguishing all of his cells simultaneously at once. May not be the most beloved Frank Miller story, but it's certainly an interesting version of Joker. And in at number 1, finally, is Dr. Fate from Flashpoint. In Flashpoint, Dick Grayson was 1/3 of the family acrobatics team called the Flying Graysons that toured with Halley's Circus. While touring in Poland, the circus was actually attacked by Amazon soldiers looking to steal Kent Nelson's helmet of fate, the most powerful magical artifact in the world, according to Black Alice. In their escape, Nelson was killed, but Grayson and a few survivors managed to keep the helmet in their possession. The rest of Halley's survivors were killed by the Amazons, leaving only Dick Grayson and the helmet on the run with the ghost of Deadman to protect him. He eventually decided to use the helmet of fate against the Amazons by becoming Dr. Fate, which granted him godlike arcane power, increasing his sorcery. It also grants him elemental control, including pyrokinesis, hydrokinesis, geokinesis, aerokinesis, cosmic awareness, and even precognition.
At number 10, we have Johnny Quick of Earth 3. In this dimension, the Justice League exists as a legion of criminals called the Crime Syndicate, made up of evil versions of the heroes we're used to seeing in the Justice League. Flash's evil counterpart, Johnny Quick, has powers similar to Barry Allen and is credited with defeating the first iteration of the Doom Patrol alongside his girlfriend and partner in crime, Atomica. He also traps the Justice League of Prime Earth in the Firestorm Matrix, which is a pretty impressive demonstration of power on its own. And it may suggest that he is more in tune with his abilities than Prime Earth's Flash, giving him a spot on this list without question. However, he is soon defeated by Captain Cold, who freezes one of his legs and shatters it before breaking his neck. And simply because Johnny Quick loses as badly and as quickly as he wins, he's held back a bit on this list. At number 9, we have Avery Ho from Prime Earth. Avery gains her powers in the Flash Volume 5 when the Speed Force goes out of whack and endows masses of regular people with super speed. Avery is a relatively new hero who has only been around since 2016, but we can be pretty confident that she'll only continue to grow in power and ability as time goes on. Partly through experience with the Speed Force and working alongside Wally West, but mainly because of a distinct ability she has that's unique to this variant in particular, in that she can siphon speed from other people, allowing her to increase her speed on command. So it's not hard to see how even if she's not at her height of power yet, she might soon reach a power level that might surpass even the most powerful variants on this list. At number 8 is Danica Williams from Earth 12. Also known as Beyond Flash, this version of the Flash exists in the 2040s alongside Terry McGinnis, aka Batman Beyond. Danica is known to be one of the most powerful versions of the Flash, having the ability to communicate with past iterations of the Flash like Jay Garrick and Wally West. This helps her develop as a hero and gain enough foresight that she can avoid making some of the tougher mistakes that she would have made had she been all on her own. It also proves to be the case that variants from the future usually have some kind of advantage to their present day counterparts due to experience and futuristic technology. Personally, I just think there's something special about Earth 12 because Batman Beyond is also a really powerful Batman variant and he comes from Earth 12 as well. And Danica Williams rubs shoulders with him quite often, matching his power and intellect most of the time.
Number 7. Batman and Rookie. Well, usually when we talk about Batman variants, we are talking about other realities and other world stories. In this case, we're actually looking to the main continuity of Prime Earth in modern comics, instead of away from it. This variant of Batman, instead of hailing from another Earth, is simply a whole other person from the main continuity. We are talking about when Jim Gordon, police commissioner, took up the mantle of Batman. Yeah, that happened. Jim became Batman after Bruce's seeming death following the events of Endgame. A corporation known as Powers International came to Gordon and basically approached him about becoming the new Batman. Initially, he wasn't so sure, but eventually he decided to agree and give it a try. He was given surgical muscle implants and a very tight bat suit that made him look real svelte, and a robotic set of armor which could also operate independent of him, known as Rookie. Number 6. Vampire Batman. I think there are actually a few realities where Batman has been affiliated with vampires. I mean, kind of makes sense. Batman, vampire bats. It's kind of a no-brainer when it comes to superhero and monster mashups. This vampire Batman that we were talking about though is probably one of the most famous, hailing from the reality of Earth 43, which appears as the main reality of the story Batman and Dracula Red Reign and its sequels. Here Batman willingly becomes a vampire in order to better track down and defeat Dracula. While only part vampire at that time, eventually Batman in this reality would go full vamp after giving into his bloodlust and feeding on the Joker. Dun dun dun! Number 5. Ghostmaker. Ghostmaker for me was originally a character I came in ready to dislike when it was announced in the comics. But then I read more about him, and the more I read the character, the more I really found that I quite like him actually. In fact, he might actually be one of my favorite new characters. Even if Ghostmaker initially still sounds like a silly name, it still does kind of sound silly to me. It's growing on me, along with the man behind the mask, Ming-Hua Khan. Ghostmaker initially was presented as a challenger to Batman, someone who might even usurp him when it came to being the hero of Gotham. In the end, it was revealed that Ghostmaker and Batman actually had a pretty long history, with Bruce befriending young Ming-Hua when they were both traveling the world, training to become vigilantes. In a way, you could even see Ghostmaker as a better version of Batman. He's often not as attached as Bruce is to people or places, preferring to stay detached and possibly incapable of attachment due to him being a psychopath. In a way, this can make him either weaker or stronger than Batman, depending on your perspective of strength and how best to approach vigilantism. Number 4. AZREAL. AZREAL is another alternate Batman version or variant who hails from the same reality as Bruce Wayne. AZREAL is Jean-Paul Valley, who is asked to take Bruce's place as Batman after his back was broken by Bane during the events of Nightfall. As Batman, AZREAL was ruthless and much more violent, believing that to get Gotham in order, this was the way that things would have to be done. Eventually, Bruce returned with a healed back and ended up reclaiming the cape and cowl from AZREAL, but at that point, AZREAL was actually so powerful that Bruce initially struggled to reclaim his mantle. He would call on both Nightwing and Robin to assist him in recovering the Batman mantle, and eventually would be victorious in defeating AZREAL, who honestly, I feel bad for, as both the gain and then the loss of the Batman title really messed Jean-Paul up.
At number 3 is Wally West of Earth 22. Featured in the Kingdom Come storyline from the 90s, Wallace West is an amalgamation of all the former holders of the Flash mantle: Wally West, Barry Allen, and Jay Garrick. He's such a powerful version of the Flash that he is in constant motion, only appearing as a hazy blur most of the time. He then becomes an interdimensional being with a hyper-awareness of the relationship between dimensions and his influence on reality. In this way, he is pretty much a god and is known to have achieved more than any Flash from any other dimension. This could be due to his age as well, because Wallace West is an older iteration of the Flash, but it could also be chalked up to his near omniscience and omnipresence as a Flash variant. He isn't quite immortal like the Black Flash, but his mastery of interdimensional knowledge could be considered a more powerful trait than even immortality. In our number 2 spot is the Red Death. The Barry Allen from Earth 52 is a villainous combination of Batman and the Flash, and is known to be the most powerful version of the Flash in the whole multiverse, but I beg to differ, because I'm putting him at number 2. You'll see who goes ahead of him, and we'll see if you agree with me. First appearing in the Dark Knight's Metal comic book event in 2019, the Red Death is basically what you get when you give Batman super speed, super strength, and durability. This means that this variant can use the extreme intellect of Batman and apply it at extreme speeds, crafting bat gadgets faster than the speed of light and tracking down his enemies effortlessly in a split second. The way this villain is formed is that Batman is jaded by his experiences of loss, getting emotionally exhausted by losing so many sidekicks and deciding that he needs to take matters into his own hands. This dark motivation also adds to the Red Death's power as he takes out his anger on the world with extreme speed and extreme power. At number 1 is Zoom. I'm putting Zoom at number 1. Zoom is a double variant of Flash, which is my way of saying that he's a variant of Reverse Flash, who is himself already a variant, so he's a double variant. But this version of Reverse Flash is even more powerful than the original, having an even more refined control over his time travel abilities. In the case of Zoom, he can speed up and slow down time around him without his frame of reference being affected. This means he can avoid the typical complications that other speedsters face, like intense friction and seeing and hearing at these intense speeds. Zoom's grim backstory also empowers his motivations, having lost both his parents at a young age to his father's violence as a notorious serial killer. Zoom goes right up to number 1 on the list because his grasp on his speed abilities is so impressive that he transcends into a new realm of power and becomes an adept time traveler as a result.